They thought burning down my family's 80-year-old cabin resort would break me. Instead, I walked into that emergency HOA meeting with a manila folder that made their president's face go ghost white. It was 2:30 a.m. Flames shot 30 feet into the sky. My grandfather's tools melted inside a shed that had held 3 generations of memories. The smell of burning propane mixed with my wife's tears as she watched our livelihood turn to ash. At dawn, the HOA president, Delilah Thornfield, arrived with her morning coffee and actually smiled at the destruction. 6 months later, the same woman sat in a packed community center with television cameras rolling. I walked down the center aisle carrying that manila folder, $847,000 worth of evidence inside. When I opened it and began reading the bank records aloud, her $1 million smile cracked like cheap paint. They made one crucial mistake. They got so drunk on their own power, so confident in their corruption scheme, that they forgot I'm the kind of person who doesn't just get mad. I get methodical. What was in the folder? A financial paper trail so damning it sent 3 people to prison and triggered the biggest HOA corruption investigation in the state's history. My name is Rex Hartwell. 3 months before the fire, I thought the biggest problem in my life was deciding whether to replace the dock planks that spring or wait until fall. Pine Haven Cabin Resort sits on 40 acres of prime lakefront property in the mountains of North Carolina. My grandfather built the first cabin in 1943 with nothing but a handsaw, determination, and the stubborn pride that runs in our family. 12 rustic cabins now line the shoreline, each weathered to that perfect silver gray that city folks call authentic mountain experience. My wife, Sarah, runs the office with Swiss watch efficiency and the warmth of fresh-baked cookies. Our 16-year-old twin boys, Jake and Luke, spend summers maintaining trails and teaching kids how to bait a hook without stabbing themselves. We never got rich. Some years we barely broke even. But we fed 3 generations of families who had been coming here since their grandparents were young. Then came 2019 and Thornfield Estates. The developer promised luxury mountain living that respected the natural environment. What we got was a gated community of 8,000 square foot McMansions, each more pretentious than the last. Worse, their lawyers created a mandatory HOA that somehow covered both the new development and our existing resort. Welcome to American property law, where your rights can evaporate faster than morning mist. HOA fees hit us hard. Residents paid $400 a month. We paid $2,800 as a commercial property. The promise was to preserve the rustic character while protecting property values for everyone. Pretty words that meant nothing. Delilah Thornfield, HOA president, became the human embodiment of everything wrong with petty authority. 58 years old, corporate attorney from Phoenix, married to Morton, a retired bank executive who looked like he could suck the joy out of a children's birthday party. She drove a white Tesla, wore designer everything, and had a smile that could freeze antifreeze. Their house was a glass and steel monument to excess, lawn manicured like AstroTurf. Not a single tree left standing, because nothing says mountain living like destroying the mountains for unobstructed views. The first shot came in spring 2023. A certified letter arrived listing aesthetic violations. Fresh stain on all 12 cabins, $15,000. New signage, $8,000. Landscaping to match neighborhood standards, $12,000. Total $35,000 we didn't have, with a 60-day deadline. I went to her house to discuss a reasonable timeline. Her Chanel perfume hit me like expensive aggression. She cut me off. We're not running a charity here, Mr. Hartwell. Your property affects our property values. Compliance is non-negotiable. By August, I scraped together enough to stain 4 cabins. 3 days later, new certified mail arrived rejecting my extension and listing fresh violations. The dock, there since 1965, extended 3 feet beyond some imaginary permitted line. The gravel parking area lacked drainage permits. Even the campfire pit violated open flame ordinances. Daily fines started at $500 per violation. With 4 active ones, we were losing $1,100 every day. Sarah found me at the kitchen table at midnight with a calculator, watching our savings disappear. $40,000 a month. That's when I remembered my grandfather's advice. When someone's trying to steal your land, first find out who really owns it. I spent a week in the courthouse basement digging through records. Our resort predated every zoning ordinance by 30 years. We had legal non-conforming status, grandfather protection stronger than steel. The dock, parking area, and fire pit were all protected. Every fine they charged was legally worthless. I sent a certified letter demanding they stop. For 24 hours, I thought I'd won. Then Delilah called, voice dripping fake sweetness. While my historical research was interesting, they'd passed a new emergency rule at a special meeting I wasn't notified about. All commercial properties needed $2 million in liability insurance. Our existing policy covered $500,000, industry standard. Quotes for the increase came in at $18,000 extra per year. I found a loophole through our agent, an umbrella policy that got us to $2 million for $4,800 a year instead. When I showed the certificate at the September board meeting, Delilah's mask slipped for a second. Labor Day weekend brought our annual barbecue and talent show, a tradition since 1952. A stranger with a clipboard appeared, announcing a board-authorized inspection. Over 3 days, he found 47 violations. Loose handrail, minor electrical issue our electrician said was code-compliant, fire extinguishers 2 months past inspection. Even the decades-old rope swing was suddenly a hazard. I called a paralegal friend, Jenny Blackwood. For $500, she dissected the HOA governing documents. The original covenants required a majority vote of all property owners for rules affecting commercial properties. Their emergency insurance rule passed with only 12 of 47 residents present, all from Thornfield Estates. The local newspaper ran the story, "Family Business Under Siege by HOA Overreach." Social media exploded. A Save Pine Haven group grew to 800 members. Families shared decades of memories. October 15th, 2:30 a.m. Sarah shook me awake. Something was burning. The maintenance shed was fully engulfed. 3 separate burn patterns. Arson. At 6:45 a.m. I arrived at the smoking ruins to meet the insurance investigator. Delilah stood there in designer jogging clothes with coffee, calling the old shed an eyesore and perhaps a blessing in disguise. Morton appeared with a camera, claiming he was documenting for HOA insurance. Security footage from a next-door marina showed a figure climbing our fence at 2:15 a.m. Build match Morton. An anonymous envelope arrived with photos of him buying 3 5-gallon gas cans the day before, receipt attached, signature clear. Our insurance would cover the $25,000 shed replacement, but only after an HOA compliance certificate. Delilah refused to sign it, citing concerns about property management practices that may have contributed to the incident. 2 days later, she called an emergency meeting and passed a new rule. Commercial properties must install $40,000 sprinkler systems within 60 days. Nogadonfadering Simpchens. That night, Sarah and I stared at the calculator. Sprinklers, compliance costs, legal fees, lost bookings. We faced ruin. The developer's offer was still open, $800,000. I said no. They wanted war. They would get one. I requested 4 years of HOA financial documents under public records law. For bankers, boxes arrived. Spread across the kitchen table, the picture was chilling. They collected $2. $1 million over 4 years. Reserve fund should have held at least $800,000. Actual balance, $23,000. Someone made $1. $3 million vanish. The trail led through inflated contracts. Delilah's nephew ran the management company charging $8,000 a month for landscaping worth $3,000. Snow removal hit $15,000 a season for work 2 people could do. Delilah's home landscaping, $75,000, paid by HOA funds. Morton's $35,000 plow truck counted as a community expense. Board members billed $28,000 for luxury conferences in Hawaii and the Bahamas. A clause in the management contract gave the HOA power to force property sales if an owner created ongoing financial burdens. Morton owned Mountain Properties, LLC, poised to buy Pine Haven for pennies once fines crushed us. I called a war council. Jenny, the paralegal, Marcus, our CPA, Rita, the retired investigative reporter, even Sheriff Deputy Tom Bradley. Rita's newspaper series and Channel 9's primetime special aired the week before the December 15th budget meeting. The story went viral. The district attorney and state attorney general opened investigations. The FBI requested our documents. Delilah tried to cancel the meeting, citing security concerns. Jenny got a court injunction. The judge ruled it must proceed. December 15th, the community center overflowed. 400 people, media from 3 states. I walked down the aisle with my laptop and the famous manila folder. Delilah tried to limit public comment to 5 minutes. Jenny objected. The deputy confirmed state law required full participation. I connected the projector. First slide. Pine Haven HOA Financials 2019 to 2023. Total collected $2. $1 million. Spent $2. $3 million. Reserve fund required $800,000. Actual 23,000 pesos. The room gasped. Someone shouted, "Where's the money?" I showed management overcharges, personal enrichment, then played the recording. Morton's voice. Once we own that resort, we're sitting on a $2 million gold mine. These hillbillies don't understand property values. It's almost charity work, really. Delilah. The Pine Haven acquisition is just the beginning. We'll force out every pre-existing property and rebuild this entire area properly. Mountain living for people who actually deserve it. The room erupted. Votes came fast. Entire board removed. Management company terminated. Independent auditor hired. Criminal charges pursued. Me elected interim board president by acclamation. Handcuffs came out. Delilah and Morton arrested for embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy, obstruction. Afterward, the crowd applauded. Sarah cried tears of relief. A local restaurant owner announced free dinner for everyone who came. Criminal cases moved quickly. Delilah pleaded guilty, 3 years plus full restitution. Morton flipped for 18 months. The management company owner faced federal charges. Restitution totaled $1. $2 million. Property owners got average refunds of $18,000. Our resort became debt-free. Bookings rose 40%. We added amenities, protected the lake with a conservation easement, and created a community fund for scholarships and small business loans. The state passed the Pine Haven Act requiring annual audits, transparency, and penalties for self-dealing. Similar laws appeared in 15 other states. I never expected to become a whistleblower, but sometimes ordinary people have to do extraordinary things. If you're facing HOA corruption, remember, document everything, build alliances, show up to meetings, vote. They count on your silence. Don't give it to them. Share your stories. Let's see how far this epidemic has spread, and let's help each other fight back.